What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to another Football Manager 2020 video. Today we're going to be having a look at custom views in the game. It's something that I do every single year in terms of making my own views. In this video I'm going to show you how you can import those, how you can make your own views, the significance of them, and well, hopefully this is a useful video. I know for some of you, you're going to come here, you're going to look at my views, maybe download them, and then that's that. For other people, I recommend sticking around. We're going to cover, some of the newer interesting stuff and give a general overview of things. So first things first, if you just want to pick up my views, they're available for download. There is a link down below. There are some for various different screens. So we have some for the squad screen, some for the player search screen, some for the player shortlist screen, and also some for the tactics screen, just to kind of explain that immediately. What you'll do is you'll download them, you'll then come to import view, and then from here you will navigate just from the location to wherever you've downloaded them and load them up in game. It's simple as that. You can also just put them into your views folder, which will live within your Football Manager user data. Wherever that happens to be, your location will be different to this one because I have my hard drive set up in a weird way. But yes, once you've got these files, you can just import them into the game and load them up at any point. So for example, I don't think I've actually got the tactics screen one loaded up just yet. So if we head over to the tactics screen, I am just going to make up a tactic that we are going to use here at AFC Wimbledon for this example. Actually, I have already got it set up, so I've lied. But yeah, you can see here, we've got my tactics screen view. This one is designed specifically for this screen, although all squad views will load up on this page. This one is designed for my resolution as well. If you have any issues, you can auto-size the columns. It's a useful little trick. One thing I will warn you with now is when it comes to custom views, they're very, very fiddly at times. Please do just bear that in mind. They can be an absolute pain to deal with in terms of sorting out, sizing and then clicking on the columns you want and scaling them out. So anyway, one of my go-to views is my Ultimate Squad view. This is the one that I use in all my videos as a default. As I said, it should fit most screens, but if you're on a laptop, you might have some trouble. You might need to compress down the last 5 games into a smaller section. It can be fiddly, but yeah, it can also be done. It's not impossible. Stuff like whatever this column is, you can probably scale down as well. And of course, if you want to add stuff into any of my views, you can do that. You can just hit Insert View. And then from here, pick whatever you want. I will warn you now, it can sometimes be a little bit tricky trying to find the thing that you actually want, just as a kind of word of caution. Anyway, we've got stuff like my squad profile view. So my ultimate view is kind of what I use day to day. My squad profile view is a view that I like to use when I first take over a team. It just gives you a nice little overview as to exactly how good certain players are. You can see we have got stuff being cut off the side. So if I just compress this all in, this is a bit of an information overload one. But what I like to look at is a certain group of mentals. I like this view just because it gives me an idea of who the big players are within a squad. The different social groups are also represented here, so you can kind of sort them by that if you want to have a quick look. And you can see the hierarchy from here, and also player personality. So this is my go-to view when I first take over a squad if I really want to just kind of analyse them. We've got my complete training view. This one is just a nice little useful screen from here. You can set up your individual training for players. You can pick roles and such. It's useful if you just want to check how players are progressing in training really, really quickly. I like to come here rather than going to the training screen. I will say, however, when you come to kind of set roles and stuff, obviously you can't see exactly how good the player is right away. So when you're setting up training for the very first time, I always recommend just coming to the individual screen here, simply because as you set up these things, you can actually see the attributes that you're going to be training and how it's going to impact the player, and also the player's attributes, before you start doing your training. It makes it easier to sort things through. But if I just want to check up on things, see how things are looking, this is kind of my go-to view. I find it particularly useful for that. We've got match stats as well. This is just an information overload one because we're at the start of pre-season. It's not going to be filled, but if you just want to look at a lot of numbers in one place, this could be the one for you. If you want to kind of compare two players, for example. National teams view, kind of self-explanatory. I load this one up on national teams. Worth noting that with these custom views, you can have different teams load up different ones. So for example, if we just have the national teams, we might be like, yeah, we want national team views on national team kind of screens. And I like this view just because you can see the clubs that players play for. It's kind of useful. What you might want to do is insert the value of players or their contract wages. Sometimes this hasn't worked in past FMs, just because of the way the national teams work. But yeah, you should be able to import it. I believe will we transfer? Yeah, so transfer value. You can input this in here, and then I thought that wages would be under contract, but I actually couldn't see it there. Is it under transfer? No, it's under general maybe. No, again, this is where it kind of comes useful to search stuff yourself and just have a fiddle around. Stuff is hidden away occasionally, and it can be a little bit frustrating. So you have kind of views that are tied to teams. You have views that are tied to your own club, and views that are tied to other clubs. So I might decide that actually for other clubs, I want to look at their match stats. And then, for example, any club that I look at that isn't my own, I'm going to see the match stats view, whereas it remembers, hey, you had the national teams view for your own team, so I might want this on Ultimate. And, for national teams, then we'll have it remembering the national team view, if that makes sense. Essentially, there's like different types of squad pages. There's your own squad page, national team squad pages, and club squad pages, and you can have different views for each. Also, your youth teams will have a kind of custom view as well. By default, obviously, you're not always taking control of the under-23s. If you do want to take control of it, you can. I think it's a case of just setting one player's training. So if we just set McNabb's training here, the game's going to go, whoa, you don't have the responsibility to do this. And if you hit yes to take control of all individual training, you can see here the under-23s appear as a tab. And in here, you can have a different squad view if you wanted one. So yeah, we could have squad profile if we really wanted to. So anyway, you can see kind of general applications of views. You have these for the squad pages. You also have them for the player search page, which is one that I definitely recommend having a custom view for. You can see here my player squad view is kind of just loaded in by default here. Of course, you can load this in the exact same way. You hit import, you go to player search, load, Bob's your uncle. You've got a view here. I think we're missing recommended. Indeed, we are off the end. But yeah, you can see here how, for me personally, this just has way more of the essential information that I want versus the default kind of player overview. I like to be able to see the coach reports, for example. And then we also have for shortlist, which I'm going to need to actually have some players on the shortlist to kind of have a look at. But if we have a shortlist thing, you can see here I have a shortlist view, although this is the view I want. The other version I have was one I was looking at for one of my top 10 videos that we did on the channel. But you can see here how it's a slightly different view for players who are already on my shortlist, who I know I've got my eye on. I think there is some stuff missing. Apparently there's not. So I might want to edit this on the fly. Again, with my views, I very much iterate on them throughout the year. This is kind of my first draft on them. You're more than welcome to download these views and use them yourself. But it's pretty fun and rewarding to create your own view. If you want to create a view, you can see, well, it's very, very simple. All you need to do is create a copy of the view, and we can name this whatever we want. You can just use one of mine as a base, or, any of the defaults as a base. We might call this short list, I don't know, V2. We then have shortlist V2 here. You can insert columns, you can replace columns. So I might decide scouting. I would like to know the knowledge level we have of the players on our shortlist, and let's have a look. What else might I want to know? Let's go with something really, really random, I feel like, for the first thing. Day since the scout report was created, for example. And obviously from here you can tweak things. As I said, the columns can be very, very fiddly when it comes to adjusting things, so do be aware of that. And of course you can create custom views yourself off any screen here. There are a few new default ones which are very, very useful. The playing time view, extremely useful. I really, really like this one. So what it's going to show you is the playing time you've agreed with players, how much they've actually been playing, and their expectations in the next 5 matches. This view is very, very useful for anticipating when a player might become unhappy about lack of first-team football before it happens. I'm sure you've all been there. There's a player who's kind of fallen off your radar a little bit. He comes to you complaining about lack of first-team football, and you hadn't kind of realised that he was ever not playing as much as he was expecting. With this new view, the playing time view, you can now do that, so that's very, very nice there. There are a few other views that we have. I'm trying to think which other ones are the big ones to use. I like using the homegrown players one. This is useful, of course, if you're playing in Europe or in England or in any league where homegrown players are required. And yeah, to be honest, there's just lots of views here, and you'll end up using your own ones yourself, but the ability to create your own views is absolutely invaluable. And I think it's definitely worth, when you start playing FM20, get these views, get them in game, or just create your own and iterate on them, find out what works for you, and it kind of what works for you isn't what is necessarily going to work for me. It's kind of all personal preference, I guess. But it's certainly an underutilized element of Football Manager, I feel like, custom views. You know, some people, they want to see the stars of how good a player is. They kind of load up reports, and then they kind of never ever create their own view. And this is all they have to judge a player on, where they want to be able to see the stars as they go. I feel like my Ultimate Squad view, the kind of aim of it is just to have everything in one place. And I feel like it does that quite well. So yes, this is all available for download now, guys. There'll be a link to a raw folder kind of down below. You can then extract that wherever you want it to be. And yeah, I hope this video was useful. You know, custom views, Football Manager, an essential thing, something that I know not everyone uses. And for those of you who just use my own, they're available now. Hopefully you enjoy and yeah, find them useful. Anyway, if this is your first time here on the channel, do subscribe. We've got a little more FM20 content coming your way. If you have enjoyed this one, do drop a like on it as well. It is super, super appreciated. I hope you've been enjoying all the FM20 content. I have been. And, well, hopefully I'll see you again for some more in the not-so-distant future. It is me, Jack, guys. And, yeah, I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.